A civilian-coated Piper PA-28 crosses the Gulf with $280 million in meth. An FA-18 from the Ford is cleared hot. Why would the Navy fire an AMRAAM at a plane wearing a humanitarian skin? In the next minutes, I'll show you the sensor net that called the shot, the rules of engagement that almost stopped it, and the split-second radar picture that made the trigger inevitable. Stay for the intercept geometry and how a missile built for dogfights became the tip of a counter-narcotics spear. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
Sweeping federal raid being called one of the largest in Philadelphia history. Tonight, dozens have been indicted in an alleged drug ring stretching from Kensington to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and that's how important it was to the agency. Both the FBI director and also the U.S. Attorney, Brian, calling this a historic gang takedown for a gang that they say took over a portion of Kensington.
The FBI revealed today that 33 people have now been charged, 30 taken into custody. All of it following a very visible raid just before 11 a.m. today. Dozens of FBI agents descending on a home here along Weymouth Street in Kensington.
A charity decal on the tail. A civilian N number on the registry. A route filed clean through controlled airspace. So why did a carrier crew watch it like a kill box, not a courtesy escort? Because the net sang before the prop spun. The watch in Laredo had eyes on parking lots and hangar doors, microphones on ramp chatter, and long lens cameras that love numbers on crates. Satellite relays moved the noise up the chain. Meanwhile, the FBI traced money that moved like freight, quiet, regular, purposeful, tying up relief flight to an off-book logistics spine. The aircraft itself made sense to anyone glancing at a scope. A Piper PA-28 moves slow, flies low, and usually minds the lane. Humanitarian cover buys time, scheduled routes by plausible innocence. Air traffic control saw routine, a squawk that matched its story, calls that hit the right words, a track that hugged published corridors. But the intel feed flagged anomalies, handlers who never touch aid work showing up in the pre-flight bubble, a charter company that exists on paper and nowhere else, and a string of payments that linked fuel, handlers, and a departure slot to a tight weather window. Think of the border watch like a tripwire grid. Each strand is thin, one call, one fuel receipt, one manifest line. Tug one strand and nothing happens. Tug 20 in rhythm and the grid rings. Here, the ring started with a bank pattern, small transfers from shells that shared officers and addresses, all landing in a fuel account right before a window of low traffic and clear radar. The fuse was financial. 19 wires settled, then the lift matched the gap in storms off the coast and a quiet picture over water. That is a chess gambit, trade a pawn, an obvious charity cover, to open the board where the defender has fewer pieces. Research on cartel logistics shows the drift to air corridors when ground choke points tighten.
FBI agents at Allegheny and Weymouth Streets this morning raiding this Kensington block in what officials are calling a historic federal indictment.
We have permanently removed a drug trafficking organization.
FBI Director Kash Patel in Philadelphia today. The target, the Weymouth Street Gang, described as violent drug traffickers who ran this part of Kensington operating like a business.
Out of the streets of Philadelphia, and they're going to stop pouring guns and chemicals and drugs into our communities.
The organization also has connections to New Jersey, Delaware, and Puerto Rico.
Fake NGOs are the new convoy pass. A call sign that sounds legal, a paint job that reads, aid, and a flight plan filed early to soak up legitimacy reduce search probability. But financial forensics leave footprints. You can scrub a fuselage. You cannot scrub timing. Money hits, fuel trucks roll, handlers show, and a radio check at an odd hour ties it together. Rules of engagement tighten the screw. A civilian-coated plane at low altitude over water pulls a host of legal breaks. You need positive ID beyond visuals if you plan to do more than wave. That meant moving from sensors to a controlled intercept or something harder. Meanwhile, route proximity to the coastline shortened the decision clock. The payload risk, if it crossed, meant you could not just shadow and hope. Joint tasking shifted from watch to options.
Massive drug trafficking conspiracy spanning nearly a decade, involving tremendous volumes of fentanyl and narcotics, and it takes place at the epicenter of the opioid crisis.
Officials say these photos that are part of the indictment reference the violent nature of the gang, with associates threatening to harm people if they went to authorities.
A carrier air wing sat alert for a non-standard intercept, not air-to-air with a peer, but a clean stop of a slow mover wrapped in plausible innocence. How do you do that without turning the air picture into chaos? An escort risks a run and dump or a crash into shipping lanes. Warning shots at low level over water can go wrong fast. Forcing a landing asks the pilot to comply. A drug mule's playbook often ends with a scuttle. The lawful, clean answer becomes control at range with a weapon that can be steered by rules, not temper. So the call went to an FA-18 from the Gerald R. Ford. The Hornet launched with a brief to own the shot and the airspace around it. AMRAAM made sense, beyond visual range control, a radar basket that fenced the target without dragging the fighter into a low, slow knife fight, and the ability to pick the point in the sky where the risk to other aircraft dropped to near zero. Radar lock confirmed. The jet managed geometry to hold the missile's path clear of civil lanes. One clean release and a mid-air kill took the payload out without putting another tail number in danger. The missile fixed the moment. It did not answer the river behind it. That came on the ground, where agents backtracked the wires, cracked the shells, and walked the money upstream to the source. And that's where the story widens: who funded the lift, who staged the crate line, and how deep the current ran through banks and front offices you pass every day. The fight moved overhead. Cartels borrow halos, NGO paint, clean call signs, filed lanes, and slip payloads through the seam. The answer is a fused stack, sensors that see patterns, prosecutors who hold the line, and jets that end the run when time runs out. What would you have tasked on that track? Escort to a strip, warning shots at low level, or a missile at range? Comment your choice below and subscribe if you want more hard looks at real operations. One strike won the hour. The network adapts. So we train the net, harden the law, and keep steel ready. Faster. Tighter. More connected than the next flight.